Hey, do you guys want to chase after some truth with me really quick? Just hang out while I make sure that the stream is working. It says it's live, okay. I'm learning, guys. This YouTube stuff gets me every time. So the four winds of heaven, what are they? What are the four winds? Okay, let me make sure. I still don't see anything about streaming here. It says I'm live. It says there's 6 people viewing. But I've got no analytics or anything going on. If someone is in here, and if I am live, if you could leave a comment in the live chat, that would be helpful. Because I don't want to start talking about these 4 winds and learning about them until I know that someone's, or that I know that I'm live. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know why. Stream settings. Okay, it says 7 viewers. So I guess I just don't get to see the chat, maybe? Wonder how I would go about opening another chat. Sorry guys, this is just YouTube, you know? They changed the format of live streaming, or they take one of them away, though it happened to be the one that I use. I just am trying this pop-out chat to see if that is going to possibly work. Sorry guys. I really want, I got a bunch of verses to go over. Hey, there is people in here. Alright, I can see the chat now. That's awesome. Hello, Roderick and Thomas, Morgan, Davey313. Good to see you guys. And Brian Joel. Thank you, Brian Joel. And Roderick, thank you guys. And Randy, Patriot Super Majority Now, or Patriot. And Ohio 82, how you doing? Mama Bird Borel, good to see you guys. Borel? Sorry if I said that wrong. Join the gang, he says. Alright, cool. So we're gonna chase some truth. You guys like my little meme I made for you? Hold on a minute. Let me make sure that I'm doing stuff right here. First of all, let's get rid of that. And then let's check out. Okay, hold on. I think Joe's about to go live finally. Awesome. Okay. So, an interesting thing to do if you want to learn what I'm learning, and you do. I think you really do. Now that I have the chat popped out, I can't see the chat. Sorry, guys. I will be able to check it periodically, but I can't see it right now. Anyway, doesn't matter. This is going to be cool. I just want you guys to get an idea of what the winds are. Just really, like, in general terms. I'm sitting here holding on to the mic. Hey, I just made some coffee, and I actually need to take a little sip of it. So, don't mind if I do. Okay. So, I'm gonna point out some things just with these verses, these 22 Bible verses that Bible Gateway came up with. Job 28 verse 25 says, to make the weight for the winds, and he weigheth the waters by measure. Okay, something very important about the winds, believe it or not, is the waters above. So I just want to actually review something. Whoops, Genesis 1. Just really quick, we need to make sure we have an understanding of how this world is made. And I'm not trying to get too detailed, just very general terms or whatever. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. To me, that means the sky and the ground, or the place we live, and the sky above it. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. This word here is, it also means abyss. But one thing we're going to learn here is look at what is also on the face of the deep. It says, darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So if you understand this in general terms, God divided the light from the darkness, and then he actually made a firmament, and that's where all the sun, moon, and stars are. That's what we call space. But he made a firmament to divide the waters above from the waters down here, the waters below the firmament. And so the firmament is a divider. It's a separation. It's and I don't know, I'm not really concerned so much about if it's hard or if it's something we don't understand. I don't really care so much about that, because we're going to learn what holds it up. That's more important to us, I believe. And so he made the firmament, divided the waters, and we're going to learn from Enoch here about these winds and what they're like. I wish I had like a notepad on the screen here, but we'll just make notes of certain things here really quick. Actually, yeah, we will. And then we'll go look at the word search for winds on Bible Gateway. Okay, I'm just going to read some verses, and then we'll go over them and make sure that we understand, because these winds are real, okay? They're a real part of life. We could call this like a science lesson from the book, from God's book, you know what I mean? It's God writing to, well, it's Moses, I think, wrote Genesis, and he's giving an account of the 6 days of creation. So we know how the earth was made. Even if we don't know the details, we know in general terms that there was, darkness upon the face of the deep, and there's waters above, and that's what I want to point out, is the waters above, because something's holding those waters above. So I'm just going to read some verses here in Enoch chapter 18. So Enoch says, I saw the treasuries of all the winds. I saw how he had furnished with them the whole creation, and the firm foundations of the earth. So, like, if we were going to say number one is that he furnished with the winds the whole creation and the firm foundations of the earth. So the firm foundations of the earth are furnished with the four winds. Okay? The foundations of the earth. Okay. Verse 2. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the four winds which bear the earth and the firmament of the heaven. And I saw how the winds stretch out the vaults of heaven, and have their station between heaven and earth. These are the pillars of the heaven. So number 2 or number 3 would be, they bear the earth and the firmament, and they're the pillars of heaven. This is the four winds, guys. And this is why it's really important that we learn about these, because I know that the Holy Spirit's teaching about them. So, if you want to learn it, great. I'm not a teacher. He's a teacher. And that's why we're going to look at some of the words that he inspired Enoch and a bunch of other prophets that wrote scriptures, okay? He inspired them to write about these things. And these things are true, and they're not a lie. That's what is also important to know, that what we learn from the scriptures is truth. It is truth, and there's actually, in my beliefs, there's no kind of argument for that. Even if people want to interpret something, I don't think it should be interpreted. I think it should just be read and comprehended. Okay, there is a difference, because if you want to interpret something, it implies that you want to add a little bit of, maybe understanding to what is written. And we don't need to do that. And that's actually a bad thing to do. All right. So, verse 4. I saw the winds of heaven which turn and bring the circumference of the sun and all the stars to their setting. Wow. These winds do a lot. Okay, verse 5. I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the path of the angels. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of the heaven above. Okay, that's what we needed to read from Enoch. So the four winds are, I would say that it would be pretty accurate to describe them as the atmosphere or the air. The air. But they're not, only physical and material winds. They're much more than that. And God uses them for things. So here we go back to Bible Gateway. What I'm going to do is, I don't know how to do the pop-out chat. How do I do that? Okay, sorry guys. Oops, wrong button. I got to put this up here where I can see it. Okay, now I can see the chat. Good to see you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Linda Rose and Corey Murphy, bro. What's up? Don Pratt. Good to see you guys. And Star Martyr. Awesome. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, Thomas Morgan, I liked your live video. It was great today. It was awesome. I listened to the whole thing. Yeah, you make a lot of good points. Stuff that I haven't thought about before. And then I think about it after you say it, and I'm like, yeah, he's right. Where's Enoch's body? That's a good question. I have no idea. Maybe it's written down somewhere. I don't really know, though. So, sorry, I was just having a little more coffee. Okay. Oh, this is a bad verse. Ezekiel 5:10. Therefore the fathers shall eat the sons in the midst of thee, and the sons shall eat their fathers. And I will execute judgment in thee, and the whole remnant of thee will I scatter into all the winds. Okay, I just want to read a few of these. Scattered toward all the winds. Now when we get to Daniel, or actually Ezekiel 37 mentions the four winds. This phrase right here is one we want to kind of keep our eyes out for, the four winds. Okay. And this is kind of an interesting thing. The Lord tells Ezekiel to prophesy to this pile of bones, this valley of dead bones, and then they become alive and come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain. So the breath, and here's what I'm trying to say, the breath of life has something to do with the four winds. Okay? And we have to also know, okay, this is Daniel 7 verse 2. This is a vision or a dream, or a vision, I think, that Daniel had. Yeah. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven, okay? The four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. Where's this sea, you guys? There's a great sea in heaven. There's a great sea. The great sea is not the oceans on the earth. That's in the waters above, because it's the four winds of the heaven, not of the earth. Okay? Daniel 8 verse 8. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great. You guys know what this is, right? I think if you've been on my channel, you know what the he-goat is. It's a horn. Okay, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. So just as we were saying, it's flying around, like the little horn, the dragon, the literal SpaceX Dragon capsule. This is not something This is not a theory, guys. Don't look at it as an interpretation or a theory, because that's wrong to look at it that way. It's a fulfillment that before your eyes has been fulfilled. It was written down by these prophets, okay? So we go the great sea and the four winds of heaven. Okay, Daniel 11, verse 4. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken and shall be divided toward the four winds of heaven. Okay. We'll just keep skimming through these because there's some interesting ones coming up. Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord, for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith the Lord. Okay, and then we have Jesus, Matthew 8, verse 27, but the men marveled, saying, what manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? So Jesus commands the winds, and they just do what he says. He told them to calm down, and they calm down. Okay, and then he's talking about the coming of his return. He shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. From the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Okay? And then this is repeated again about the winds obeying him. Okay, Jude. Let's look at this one in context here and see what this says. Jude verses 11 through 13. Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Balaam for reward, and perished in the gainsaying of Kor. These are spots in your feasts of charity, when they feast with you, feeding themselves without fear, clouds, they are without water, carried about of the winds, or of winds, trees whose fruit withereth, without fruit, twice dead, plucked up by the roots, raging waves of the sea, remember this, foaming out their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. If you guys have heard of Globebusters, right? I was watching Globebusters 24/7 channel that Bob has going, and this was just yesterday, I think. And there was a video where some of the astronauts were talking about the velvet blackness of space. That was one of the shocking things that they saw. One of the things that kind of surprised them when they went. There's that deep black. They said it's like they even use the word bottomless and void, of endless void, or abyss. They call it this is what the astronauts call it. Okay, they're claiming to go there, right? Okay, the blackness of darkness forever. And remember when we were looking at Genesis 1, remember this? There was darkness upon the face of the deep. So those waters above, somehow I think that there's darkness. Oh yeah, there is. Look at this. We're going to go to Psalm. Which one is it? Psalm 18. Yeah, I think. Okay. This shows us some more about the winds. Check this out. Okay, this is talking about the Lord. I called upon the Lord and cried unto my God. In verse 6 here. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations also of the hills moved and were shaken, because he was wroth. I gotta just tell you this. That this just came to me. This just reminded me of something right now, and I never made this connection before. Let me look something up. I don't know where it is. Where is it? It's got to be in like 15. Actually, no, I don't think it is. I'm gonna do this. You guys know where I'm going now. Where is that? Oh, come on. sorry. I'm just doing, this is how I search for things. It's in Revelation 6. Okay. Let me just read this, and then I'll read that Psalm 18 verse again. Let's check this out. Okay, we'll read the King James Version. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. Okay? This is just something John sees in his vision. But let's look at this Psalm 18. The sorrows of hell compassed me about, the snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon the Lord and cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple and made my cry, and my cry came before him even into his ears. That's awesome. Because look what happens next. This is part of the story in Revelation. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations also of the hills moved and were shaken. What are the foundations of the hills, guys? Remember what Enoch said? The four winds bear the earth and the heaven. They're the pillars of heaven. They're the foundations of the earth. Okay, so anyway, I got sidetracked there. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And that goes right, that's talking about God. So he bowed the heavens and came down, and darkness was under his feet. Well, look at, that's exactly what it says here in Genesis 1 verse 2. Darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Darkness was under his feet. Okay, this is a literal description of creation. It's literal. When it says darkness was upon the face of the deep, that means there's a place of darkness, and it's called the firmament. And actually, the firmament divides the light from the darkness. So, I'm not saying I understand all of this, but I understand what these four winds are doing, though. Okay, look at what it says here. In verse 11, he made darkness his secret place. So, that darkness is God's secret place. His pavilion round about him were dark waters, because remember, there's waters above, and thick clouds of the skies. So we know it's talking about the sky. So there's dark waters up there, and there's thick clouds of the skies. NASA calls it dark matter. They say it looks like water. Hey, Mary Magdalene, good to see you. Did I miss some people? I don't think I did. Awesome. Are you guys catching, getting what I'm saying here? Getting what I'm putting down? Let's see here. Let's go back to where we were here. Okay, so in Revelation, this is the verse, this is the, we're going to go in context here. Okay, in Revelation 7, I talk about this chapter a lot. John sees something happen that I'm seeing right now. I'm seeing it happen right now. Hi, Mary Ellen on Facebook. Oh, I know who you are. You were watching Thomas's live yesterday morning with me, weren't you? I remember you now. Awesome. Good to have you here. Coffee again, guys. Whoa, that's good. Okay, so after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth. So, four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. Okay? So there's angels holding those winds. And then it continues on explaining. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. I should mention something about the east. This is a little off topic, but it's kind of not. Something I noticed, and maybe we can do a word search for the word east in the Bible. I've noticed that a lot of bad things come from the east. Bad things come from the east, like destruction or thick darkness, or some of the things in the Bible that it talks when it mentions it coming from the east. Some of the things that come from the east are bad, and I don't really know why I've noticed that, but we can look into that in maybe if we have time. But I've just noticed that the east, the things coming from the east, no good. Maybe some are. I don't know for sure, but I know that there's a lot of bad stuff coming from the east in the Bible. So I don't know. I just noticed that from the east. Okay. Having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to those 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Okay, so we just learned something about these 4 angels that are standing on the 4 corners of the earth. They have the authority or whatever. It was given to them to hurt the earth and the sea. So they're going to do it with what? Well, he's telling them not to do it. And so he's saying that the wind should not blow on the earth. So what's going to hurt the earth? It's the wind. It's the wind, okay? And we're going to look at some more scriptures in Enoch where Enoch actually sees we're going to look at Enoch 57 and 60. And actually we're going to look at a bunch of Enoch, but also we're going to look at Revelation 18, because there's a place called Mystery Babylon, or Babylon the Great, and it is a prison of darkness, guys. It's a habitation of devils, and these are spirits. These are not on the earth here with us. They're in the heavenly realm, which is the sky. So there are spirits on the earth here they don't even have bodies. They're spirits. They're evil spirits. But those aren't the ones I'm talking about here. The ones I'm talking about, or the ones we're reading about, are the ones that are up in the sky. And they're actually doing literal, real things in this creation that we live in. So anyway, it says, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. So there's a time, I'm not saying it's now, but I believe it's now. But there's a time when the servants of God are going to be sealed in their foreheads in the end of days. And during that time, those angels are going to be holding those winds until those people are sealed. And then, obviously, they're going to loose the winds, and it's going to hurt the earth and the sea. Okay? So then John saw these people being sealed with the seal of the living God. And there was 144,000 of them. But I was reading in Enoch, and we were reading about the winds, and Enoch he saw the treasuries of the winds, and it was like pretty descriptive about what these winds do in the creation. And so we're going to look here. This is crazy, you guys. This is a subject that every ministry, and I'm not ripping on anybody, I'm just saying this is controversial. This is one of the most controversial subjects that I could think of ever. And I know it might not sound like it, but you'll see what I mean. The book of Enoch, okay, I consider it to be scripture because I believe Jesus called it scripture and rebuked the Sadducees for not knowing it. That's what I believe. In Matthew 22, I think. That's just my take on it. But because they were trying to kind of trap him in a question about this woman that had married 7 brothers and they all kept dying. And they were like, whose husband will, or who will be her husband after the resurrection? And Jesus is like, you greatly err, not knowing the scriptures nor the power of God. And he said, well, what else did he say after that? I'm kind of having a mind block on it. He explained to them that there is no marriage because the people after the resurrection, they become basically like angels, and the spirits of heaven don't have wives. There is no marriage because they're eternal. The marriage is for for flesh and blood on the earth. So anyway, I learned that in Enoch chapter 15. That's the only place I ever learned that. So I think Jesus was referring to Enoch chapter 15, saying, you guys should have read that and you should know that. But they obviously didn't, because they were asking him ignorant questions about marriage in heaven. Okay? It's just not, there is no marriage after the resurrection. And God explained that to Enoch in chapter 15. But sorry about the sidetrack. Okay, so now here's something very important. People miss it, and I bring it up to people, and they don't like that I say it. They block me in their chat, like Kingdom in Context and Hanging on His Words. These guys avoid this stuff. Now, I love those guys in their channel. I'm not ripping on them. I'm just saying this is controversial, and it's so controversial that no one will even talk about it. But I have to talk about it because I understand something that's happening, and it's undeniable. This chapter right here that you're looking at on the screen, this is undeniable. And I'll point out why, okay? There's only been a time, and it's right now, that this could be true. Enoch could not have seen any other time except now, because these things haven't existed until now. But Enoch saw them and wrote about them, okay? Actually, I'm going to go to chapter 56 really quick. Okay, this is titled Last Struggle of Heathen Powers Against Israel. Okay, let me point out a couple things. You guys know what New Jerusalem is? The temple of God coming down out of heaven from God. John saw it in Revelation. He saw it, okay? And it was a new heaven and a new earth. And there was no more seas. That means the above. The great seas above, okay? And I can tell you why I know that. So he saw a new heaven and a new earth, and there was no more sea. That's because those dark waters, the sea that it's talking about is dark waters. And they're going to consume the earth. And that's why there was no more seas. And this is why I'm telling you that the subject of flat earth is not an ignorant, dumb person subject. It's salvation. And people really don't like when I say that. But if you read Luke chapter 3, verses 5 through 6, maybe you'll agree with me, because that's what it says. It describes a flat earth, like literally, like the mountains being made small and low, and the valleys being filled up. That, by definition, that is a flat earth. Mountains and valleys and hills are part of the earth, okay? And it says, and all flesh shall see the salvation of God. And so when I read, like in 1 Peter, it says that salvation is revealed in the last time. And that the prophets, they searched diligently for it, but it was like, it's revealed in the last time, in the end of time, or whatever, the end of days, okay? But New Jerusalem, okay, this is the temple of God, the holy city, the kingdom, or what is Jesus says in Revelation 1, or no, Revelation 3, maybe, I'm not sure which chapter, but he says that it's, he will write his name, or what is he, I better go there, I think that's in Revelation 3, whoops, yeah, he says that to those who overcome, yeah, right here, verse 12, him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out, and I write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. Okay, so that place right there, it's mentioned here in Enoch 56, okay? Verse 6. It's talking about these kings of the earth, these, and it's actually, it says angels right here. In those days the angels shall return, okay? And they shall stir up the kings so that a spirit of unrest shall come upon them. These are spirits, guys. these are evil spirits. These are like fallen angels. That's who these angels are. Verse 6 says, and they shall go up and tread underfoot the land of his elect ones. Where's the land of his elect ones? Jesus was just telling us about it in Revelation 3. It's the city of his God, the New Jerusalem. Okay, that's the land of his elect ones. And it says these angels will go up and tread it underfoot. Okay, what would that mean to you guys? If I told you, how would we describe what it would look like if something went up to New Jerusalem and made it trodden underfoot or treaded it underfoot? That would be like something going up there, right? Up into the sky. Well, it is, and we'll learn more about that. But look at this. The next line says the same thing again. And the land of his elect ones shall be before them a threshing floor and a highway. So the land of his elect ones, that's New Jerusalem. It'll be a threshing floor and a highway. Interesting, huh? But then it mentions the same place again in verse 7. But the city of my righteous shall be a hindrance to their horses. Okay, and that's that is, I'm going to just say that that's flat earth. Because if you go to a NASA live stream, you'll notice that the flat earthers don't allow anybody to watch that live stream and not know that the earth is flat and that NASA is up to no good. You can't make, let's go to Jeremiah 51 and we can read about the flat earthers real quick. And I'm just saying this because it's something that I know, and it's not me saying, it's not me like making it up. It says it right here, or God says it. Okay, let me just read a couple verses. Thus saith the Lord. You guys see that when it says this? I pay attention. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind, and will send unto Babylon fanners. That word means like strangers or out-of-towners or something. And will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. This is the hindrance to their horses, guys. The city of his righteous ones shall be a hindrance to their horses. It's because these fanners believe something. Okay, and look what it even says here. It's even talking about Apollo here, basically. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. And against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine. So he gets into a metal suit of armor and lifts himself up. Just think about it, guys. We have vehicles that we go up in the sky with, right? I mean, most people have even been on like a commercial airline. These are just vehicles up in the sky. Okay? It's nothing to deny. I think probably everyone here has probably been in an airplane at some time or another. But I mean, maybe some people haven't, but not many. So anyway, verse 6 is a good one. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Don't be cut off in her iniquity. Okay. Oh yeah, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Do you guys know what that's going to be? That's going to be a plague of great hail. I know Thomas Morgan knows what that's going to be. Because it's real I can tell it's real to Thomas Morgan when you say, wow. Because every time you say, wow, it just makes me realize, yep, it's insane what we can see happening. And a lot of people can't, but I don't really think it matters who can see it. It's all just happening. Roderick says, like me who thinks we are seeing a rush of devils because of flat earth. Yeah, something like that. I think that's what it is. I mean, if you look at some of these people that have created channels against the flat earth. I'm just saying, if you look at what they're talking about, they're not talking about Jesus. Anyway, back to the book of Enoch, because this is a crazy thing that happens, you guys. Okay, verse 8 says, "In those days, Sheol shall open its jaws, and they shall be swallowed up therein. Sheol shall devour the sinners in the presence of the elect." I was just telling people about this on Rose 777's show. Was that this morning or yesterday? It must have been this morning. Yeah, Poppycock Report. I was telling them that it says that the sinners. Well, it also, that's in 2nd Esdras too. It says that they'll go out of their minds, and that the righteous will see it. We'll see it happening. It's crazy. Okay, so here is where it gets crazier. This is just Enoch's testimony, guys. It's not me saying this. Enoch's going to tell us something, and we can all decide what we want to take from it. "And it came to pass after this that I saw another host of wagons and men riding thereon." Okay, that could be anything. Okay, I've seen other versions say chariots. So there's men riding on chariots, big deal. Well, it's the next sentence that is the big deal, okay? And it's the subject of this live stream. Okay, I'm going to start it over. "And it came to pass after this that I saw another host of wagons and men riding thereon, and coming on the winds from the east and from the west to the south. And the noise of their wagons was heard." Okay, so whatever their chariots or their wagons was noisy. Just think of reality today. What do men ride on the four winds that make a lot of noise? Somebody can tell me. Bob and Doug just rode one called Dragon up to the sky. Maybe 2 months ago, and then they already came back down. They were already cast out into the earth. I say it that way because I have to. Okay, so their noise of their wagons was heard, and when this turmoil took place, the holy ones from heaven remarked it. Okay, look what it says here, guys. "And the pillars of the earth were moved from their place, and the sound thereof was heard from one end of the heaven, of heaven to the other in one day." Sorry. Davey 313 said it. There's only one thing that does that, you guys. And Lady K, I can totally agree with that too, a plane. But planes aren't loud enough to shake the heavens. And we're going to go to chapter 60 and just... Enoch faints because of what he sees happening. Okay, this is kind of a continuation right here. And I'll just read starting in verse 1. In the year 500, in the 7th month, on the 14th day of the month, in the life of Enoch, in that parable I saw how a mighty quaking made the heaven of heavens to quake, and the host of the Most High, and the angels, 1,000 thousands, and 10,000 times 10,000, were disquieted with a great disquiet. And the head of days sat on the throne of his glory, and the angels and the righteous stood around him. Can you guys put this in reality, like I am right now? Let's just concentrate for a second on heaven, whatever it may appear to look like in your mind. Okay, whatever that is, it doesn't matter. But just, you're looking at this place of heaven, and you're seeing God there. You're seeing all these thousands and thousands of angels surrounding him. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that it's our sky, guys. It's what our sky looks like. That's what it is. That's what he's seeing. But he's up there. Okay, he's up higher than we are. But the angels and the righteous stood around him, okay? And a great trembling seized me, and fear took hold of me, and my loins gave way, and dissolved were my reins, and I fell upon my face. Now, this is where it gets serious, you guys, and this is why, yes, Roderick, you're exactly right. Rockets disturbed Father too, according to Enoch. It says they were disquieted with a great disquiet. That's crazy, okay? Davy 313, that is interesting. Water turns to plasma at high temperatures. I didn't know that. I don't know anything about it, but I know that when they're re-entering the atmosphere, it creates a plasma ball around any vehicle that's trying to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. That's NASA terms. Like, it sounds wrong, but that's very interesting, Davey 313. So this is where it gets serious, though, you guys, because, and this is why Thomas Morgan is saying it's coming like a thief. It's coming, and nobody's ready. Nobody's gonna know it, and it's just gonna be a day like today. And the people in the world are destroying the world, and they don't know it. They're not aware of it, but I am. Thomas is. A lot of people here. Roderick is. A lot of people can see this. Davey 313 can see it. I'm just saying, because there's so many different scriptures that talk about these chariots and talk about the noise of their chariots. It sounded like a chariots going into battle. Okay, these descriptions are they're the testimony of whatever prophets wrote them, and the prophets were saying, I saw this and I heard this and this is what happened. Okay, so Enoch faints, and now Michael's gonna tell him something that's really like sobering or whatever. It's heavy. Verse 4. And Michael sent another angel from among the holy ones, and he raised me up. And when he had raised me up, my spirit returned, for I had not been able to endure the look of this host, and the commotion and the quaking of the heaven. And Michael said unto me, Why art thou disquieted with such a vision? Until this day lasted the day of his mercy. And he hath been merciful and long-suffering towards those who dwell on the earth. And when the day and the power and the punishment and the judgment come, which the Lord of spirits hath prepared for those who worship not the righteous law, and for those who deny the righteous judgment, and for those who take his name in vain, that day is prepared, for the elect a covenant, but for sinners an inquisition. Now, why is that so serious? Because that's the last chance. It's the last day. And so Enoch watched that happen. He watched it happen. And what caused it? What made it happen? It was wagons with men riding on them coming on the winds. It was the noise of their wagons. Let me grab a video just to play a couple of videos, actually. You guys, like when I make a live stream like this, I can only do this once in a great while, like it seems like, because to talk about this, it seems like I'm talking about the winds. Oh, hey, Joe's making a video about the winds. La-di-da, big deal. But this is a big deal. Okay, let me just play a rocket launch. It's just somebody's footage of a rocket launch, and I just want you guys to. Okay, this footage.
And build.
Whoops, wrong
the
one.
Foundation.
This footage here. This is taken from about 8 miles away, I believe. 8 miles from the rocket. So they're about to watch the launch. Let me fast forward a little bit. Okay, there's the launch. It takes a long time for the sound to get to them, because sound only moves about 750 miles an hour through the air. So just, obviously that rocket's making some noise, but just listen to the kind of noise that it makes and realize that they're 8 miles away from it. You can tell how far they are away because there's no sound yet. But just Just listen to this. If you have headphones or if you have a good system, turn it up a little bit and just think of what is happening to the air in the atmosphere, the four winds. Look at what... Okay, you're just going to start to hear it right now. I'm just going to be quiet and we're just going to listen. Verses while this thing's making that noise. And it came to pass after this that I saw another host of wagons and men riding thereon, and coming on the winds from the east and from the west to the south. And the noise of their wagons was heard, and when this turmoil took place, the holy ones from heaven remarked it. And the pillars of the earth were moved from their place, and the sound thereof was heard from one end of heaven to the other in one day. This is not something good, you guys. Yes, Roderick just brought up an awesome chapter, Enoch chapter 80. This talks about the sinners being deceived about all the stars and what they are and all their orders and everything at the end. And even though we tell this verse to the people who are deceived about it, they still want to remain deceived. And we can't do anything about that. We can only just keep saying the truth. Because I like what Thomas Morgan said today. He said, if you bear witness to the truth... Well, look at that. It's fighting with the four angels holding those four winds from hurting the earth, guys. How long will that fight last? Do you see that fire in the sky?
Those are the boost back burns.
Oh, they're talking about the boost back burn. See this beast that we're watching on the screen here? This one makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceives those who are dwelling on the earth by the means of those miracles that he has power to do in the sight of the beast, the first beast. That's also in the sky, guys. Let me just fast forward a little bit and we will watch somebody or a beast or a rocket making fire come down from heaven. Watch this. This is what John saw. And it's because John told us that he saw it. There it is. There's fire coming down from the sky. This is a satanic miracle. No, it's not fake. The Bible tells us, John tells us, it's the testimony of Jesus in Revelation that tells us the reason. Hey, Forever Conscious Research Channel, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you're doing well tonight too. So, just give it a second here, and you're going to see the landing burn. This is literal fire coming down from the sky. John told us that he saw a beast going up out of the earth, and then he saw the same beast making fire come back down from heaven. Okay, there's only one thing in this world that can do that, guys. Plus, it spoke like a dragon. What do you know? That's not a coincidence. There we go. There's fire coming down from the sky, and people are cheering it on. Now listen to the sound that it makes as it comes in. Remember, it's 8 miles away, so take a minute for the sound to get here. Plus, I gotta show you something else. Okay. So there's that. That was a Falcon Heavy launch, you guys. That's a SpaceX rocket. I'm gonna grab something here to show you. I'm gonna show you the. I don't even know what to call it. It's a movie. It's a home movie that someone took from the ground of those 4 angels in Revelation 7. They're holding back the winds. They're fighting with dragon, okay, with Satan. And you can watch it right here. Ready? This is what it looks like, guys. That's SpaceX Dragon right there. On your screen. That's SpaceX Dragon and the Falcon 9. Falcon 9 is on the right. The Dragon is on the left. And those are the 4 winds of the heaven. And I don't know how long they're gonna hold the winds back. Because this is war in heaven. John saw this, you guys. I'm just trying to wake people up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's not time for people to say, I don't think that's what John was talking about. I think John was being symbolic. John was talking about the Pope. John was talking about the Roman Catholic Church. No, he wasn't. John was talking about things in the sky. Get over it, guys. There's truth, and there's the world's interpretation of the book of Revelation. Get away from that interpretation. Read the book for yourself. Let me just read some Revelation 12 to you guys while we watch this video. And I'll actually get another one going too. There's an interesting plume. I call these videos plume videos. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna play my video called The Apostle John. Do you guys know when Jesus, this is one of the biggest things that ever happened in the Bible or in history. Something, I like that Thomas Morgan, 7 hills in Joe's backyard. That's why I always say, people say 7 hills in Rome. And I'm like, yeah, there's 7 hills in everybody's city too, whatever. That doesn't mean anything. Plus they're mountains, not hills. They were mountains. And Enoch called planets, he called them mountains, burning with fire. And John also called them mountains, burning with fire, in Revelation 8, verse 8. No, I want to show you, okay, when Jesus ascended into the clouds, okay, this is a big moment. And what happened? What happened? They're looking up at heaven, and he went up there. He floated up there, or whatever you want to call it. He ascended up into the clouds and disappeared into the clouds in the sky above their heads. And they watched this. And as they were looking up, like, this is important, you guys. As they were looking up, they were told something that we need to understand also. They said, these 2 angels or men or they were dressed in white. And they said, ye men of Galilee, why are you staring up at heaven? The same Jesus that you watched go up into heaven will come back in the same way. That was my paraphrase, but yeah. They said he's going to come back in the same manner that they watched him go up. Which means we're going to watch him come down from the clouds. Okay, and Elon Musk is sending rockets up at New Jerusalem, and the Christians don't care. It's kind of sad. It's very sad. Sorry, I'm not good at multitasking. I have a video here. We have to watch it. It's like 5 or 6 minutes. I'm not trying to get into the watching videos today. But the Apostle John has a message in the book of Revelation, and it's for us. It's for every one of us. It's for us to understand. It's not just for us to wonder about. It's for us to know and understand because we're in that time. Okay? Let's check out this video. I'm going to see about volume. When I recorded this video, the volume was really loud in the beginning, so I'm going to mute it and then I'll turn it on after it starts out really loud, but you'll be fine. Here we go.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb.
Liftoff of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, launching Dragon to the International Space Station.
And he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
And Stage 1 entry burn is underway. It's a burn of about 10 seconds.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
So that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Falcon 9 first stage headed back toward Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, where it launched 6 minutes, 37 seconds ago.
Stage 2 performance nominal.
And he doeth great wonders, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And the Lord God of the holy prophets sent his angel to show unto his servants the things which must shortly be done. Those precious young people.
Back at Landing Zone 1 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station.
LZ-1, the F9 has landed. Landing operators proceed.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which showed me these things. Then saith he unto me, See thou do it not, for I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book.
Okay, you guys, check this part out right
And
here.
when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven.
Okay, I'm a flat earther.
Okay, guys, I want to stress that what we just watched at the very end there. Let me go back. We're gonna watch it again. We have to. It's just a concept that I can see clearly happening. Okay, we have people that are looking up at Elon Musk's and NASA's rockets in this video. That's why I use this footage. Okay, they're pointing up at the sky at these rocket launches. And listen to what those two angels told the men in Galilee. Because we have an imitation Jesus. We have a faker, an imposter, a false prophet. Let me play this again.
And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven.
Who believes that? I do. Actually, I know it, but I believe it. Thank you, by the way, Forever Conscious Research Channel for the info. And welcome, Flatjacks. Good to see you. Lady K, I want to explain something. I noticed you are saying what I expect you to say, and it's not wrong that you say this at all. You're saying, that looks so fake when they land that rocket. So fake. This is something shocking, okay? You know, this Antichrist, or the son of perdition, he's going to be standing in the temple of God, showing himself that he's God. And he will do great wonders and deceitful signs. Like, it even says in Revelation 13 there, and he doeth great wonders. So now, here's what I want to say. The rocket's landing, okay, just hear me out. The rocket's landing in this physical realm that we live in called Earth. There's thrust, and there's, rocket engines, and there's technology. It's just a science that men have. Hey, Zulu 1, good to see you. It's a science, okay? Now, when most people watch one of those rockets land, first of all, most people don't realize the size of those rockets. They're huge. When they land one of those boosters, they're landing a 23-story tall building. 230 feet or something like that. Okay? So what I'm saying... Now, I like what Lady K says. It looks so fake. It can't be real. They're deceiving the world. Or they're faking it, okay? But just keep this other angle in mind. This other possibility in mind. What it says in Revelation 13 is that this beast that came up out of the earth, speaking like a dragon, that it would make fire come back down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And then the next verse says, and deceiveth those who dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles that he had power to do in the sight of the beast. So what I'm basically saying is that when we watch what Lady K is seeing as fake, what that tells me is that Lady K has eyes to see. Jesus gave her eye salve so she can see. So it's so fake. Do you guys get what I'm saying? In this world, the world believes in this physical. They think heaven is not in existence. They believe that heaven is just another physical place. But it's not. And Lady K knows it's not. That's why she says, that's so fake. Because her eyes see the truth. Do you guys get? I hope you get what I'm saying. If you go to SpaceX, if you go look at these things, it's not difficult to understand after a little bit of research that, like, let's just take, hey, I'll use my own car for an example, that I just got back after it being gone for like 10 years. Let me try something here. I'm going to see if I can't show you guys a picture of, or maybe I'll do an old pickup truck that I had. I had a Ford Lightning back in the day. Let's see here. Downloads. Okay, yeah, we'll look at my... Okay, let's... We'll look at my Mustang, I guess. Okay. So my car is in my garage again. Oh, I'll get me off the screen there. Sorry. Okay. Let's look at this. It might not be a very good picture, but okay. That's from my Facebook profile. Okay, that's a Mustang. And when I bought it, it was just a factory GT 2001 Mustang. But then I lowered it down. I bought like a spring kit or whatever and lowered it. And I put a different rear end in it with different gears, so it would go a little snappier, a little faster. I put 410s in it. And then now it has a motor in it that on the dyno made 513 horsepower. So let's compare the car when I bought it as just a factory 4.6 liter Mustang. Nothing too special. It was a fast car, but nothing too special. But now it's gonna be pretty. It doesn't drive right now. We have a lot of work to do to it. Me and my brother. My brother's he's the brains behind the operation. But when we're done in the spring, when we were done working in it and we take it out, like to Brainerd Raceway or something, it's gonna go fast. Simply because my brother built a motor that made 513 horsepower. Okay? So I think maybe it had, I don't know, 280 or 300 horsepower or something from the factory. So maybe it's got twice as much horsepower as from the factory or something, whatever. What I'm saying is that we can take machines and we can do things with metal and with the technology and the winds. We can use the wind if you were to get a turbo, or you know how there's a lot of things that we can do with the atmosphere and the air that make things go fast. Okay. Let me show you another picture of a truck that did this. We did something similar to a pickup truck that I had years ago. I just want to show you. Here's a picture of it. It never got finished. It was a Ford Lightning, and it was pretty sweet. Okay, but if it would have gotten finished with, see how we would have had big tires on it and everything. I sold it, but when I took this to the track, it went, I think the fastest ever went was like 13:21 in the quarter mile. But that's a lot faster than factory. What I'm saying is we can change stuff. And rockets are the same, you guys. We can build a model rocket and that uses a little, it's just a, what do they call, mortar charge or whatever? A little mortar. It's a little rocket, and it's just a solid rocket booster. You light it, and it goes until the fuel is gone. Solid fuel or whatever. That's what rockets are. And they have different kinds. They have like cold, like cryogenic fuels, like liquid oxygen, and there's we have lots of different ways to create thrust. And what they're doing right now with thrust is crazy. Though I you know what, let's do a little, let me do something here. I like that the screen says blasphemy right now, like SpaceX. Let's go to do a search. I'll just do it really quick. I just want to see how much the Falcon 9 weighs. Weight with fuel. Here's how much the rocket, Falcon 9 can lift payloads of up to 50,300 pounds to low Earth orbit. 18,300 pounds to geostationary transfer orbit when expended, and 12,000 pounds to geostationary transfer orbit when the first stage is recovered. Okay, so when they land that booster, they can't lift as much because they need fuel to land it. Okay. But that's not actually what I was asking. Falcon 9 weight with fuel. So they don't really even tell me that. Let's see here. I'm just briefly looking at Wikipedia. It weighs a lot, guys. Like over 1 million pounds. And I don't know the number right now. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just skimming. Okay, it generates 9 engines. It has 9 Merlin engines. They consume 3,200 pounds of fuel and liquid oxygen per second. These are big machines, you guys. Okay, 3,200 pounds of fuel and liquid oxygen per second. And generated almost 850,000 pounds of thrust. That means it would just lift up 850,000 pounds off the ground. Now, we can say, oh, that's fake. But the fact is that it's not fake in this world. It's part of the world that we live in. And so to deny it is fine. I mean, I'm taking the angle, well, it might as well be fake. It might as well be something because it's just pure wickedness. And all this science that uses these things, I'm going to play a video for you guys. This is really fitting. I think I called it Loosing the Four Winds. So these verses are going to be in there again, like Revelation 7 and stuff. But jets and the sound barrier. Let's check it out. Sound waves move through different mediums at different speeds, and through the air, when a jet's flying about 750 miles an hour, it's going about the same speed as the sound waves that it's making. Kind of like a boat pushes the water away, it creates pressure waves. And in the air, this is what it looks like. What I want to point out is that the physics we know, in this world that we know, this is something that probably is like on the edge of some kind of limitation. Something moving faster than the sound it is making.
There it is. There it is.
The space shuttle doesn't fly anymore, but when it did, it would take about 45 seconds for the space shuttle to reach that speed of sound. And just like the same as a boat or a jet, pushing through the air creates a pressure wave, and this is what it looks like up close. And we can see this vapor cone quite clearly anytime something is traveling that fast. Here's the Saturn V. So when it reaches that speed of sound, something happens. And this is where it gets interesting. Watch these next few clips very carefully. Okay, watch for the vapor cone, and then watch what happens. Do you see that? So what is it that we are actually watching here when you see those ripples? As if there was a barrier of some sort that is being penetrated. It's called a shockwave, but I'm asking you to think about what's happening. And when this happens, it creates sonic booms.
Once we hear that boom,
Yeah, there they are. Coming in like meteors, real fast. They're gonna do a final burn here in just a moment. There's final burn 1 and 2. 2 candles coming down. Double sonic booms. Beautiful landing. And I see 2 standing. Perfect.
Why am I talking about the speed of sound, or the sound barrier? Well, it gets kind of deep. It has to do with the firmament, and it has to do with the 4 winds of heaven. And of course, we can't forget what's on your screen. A dragon.
And I saw the storehouses of all the winds, and I saw how with them he has adorned all creation, and I saw the foundations of the earth. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth, and I saw the four winds which support the earth and the sky. And I saw how the winds stretched out the height of heaven, and how they positioned themselves between heaven and earth. They are the pillars of heaven. And I saw the winds which turned the sky and caused the disk of the sun and all the stars to set. And I saw the winds on the earth which support the clouds, and I saw the paths of the angels. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of heaven above.
And after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
And they will go up and trample on the land of my chosen ones, and the land of my chosen ones will become before them a tramping ground and a beaten track. But the city of my righteous ones will be a hindrance to their horses. And it came to pass after this, that I saw another host of chariots with men riding on them, and they came upon the wind from the east and from the west to the south. And the sound of the noise of their chariots was heard. And when this occurred, the holy ones observed it from heaven, and the pillars of the earth were shaken from their foundations, and the sound was heard from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven throughout the day. That I saw another host of chariots with men riding on them, and they came upon the wind from the east and from the west to the south. And the sound of the noise of their chariots was heard. And when this occurred, the holy ones observed it from heaven, and the pillars of the earth were shaken from their foundations.
Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve.
Alright, so I could end it there, but I'm not gonna, because it gets much worse, somehow. Maybe you guys have seen this video I made called Times and Laws, and I just want to point out before I play this video, that God ordained a course, or a commandment for these luminaries in the sky, which are angels. Oh, Thomas, good to see you every time. Thank you, brother, for your lives on Facebook. I look forward to them every time my phone goes ding. Thomas is live. I love watching and listening. Just hearing you talk, man. You've got wonderful insight into these things, and I know that the Holy Spirit's showing you things, and just when you speak them, I hear them. So keep it up. Same with everyone that's doing this stuff. Welcome, Quaalude Charlie. Thank you. And yeah, Jesus Freak Computer Geek, we've got to do a live stream. That would be fun. And I know we've talked about it, and we will. It's just time goes by so fast. But this times and laws, so God ordained all the heavens and the order that the stars go in, and you know the Polaris is I believe that is in Enoch chapter 71. It describes the sky. It describes this crystal house that was girt with fire, and like he describes this place, and it's where the throne of God is, and all the angels, thousands and thousands, and a number that you can't even count, that you can't count, that number of angels encircle that house. And when we look up at the night sky, that's what's happening. There's a star in the middle, and they're all going around that star. Actually, I can, before I play that video, I've got a little clip of it in this intro here. Let me play this again. You'll see the star trails, and I'll pause it when we get there. You guys see that? That's a time lapse that I took from my backyard with the center star there. The center, all those stars are going around that center star. This is what I'm talking about. Hey, Truth Like Velcro, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. But let me play this just for a second and just watch. They spin in a circle. This is what the stars do. And then we got SpaceX. So before we go any further, I'm going to play this video because SpaceX is doing something to God's ordained courses. He's changing the times and the laws because God, he made a commandment to these stars, and they were given a path to take, and that was that it's a commandment from God. And 7 of them didn't obey him, but all the other ones did. And that's what we see when we look up at the sky. We see 7 planets that are in they're in my understanding, they're in a prison. They're in a prison of darkness, under chains of darkness, in the blackness of darkness, literal darkness. And they're up there, and they're confusing mankind as to what the stars are, and they're causing men to worship the stars and the host of heaven. This is what SpaceX is. What do they want to do? They want to go to Mars. They want to, I'm just saying that's what they're doing, is they are putting all their effort into these planets, okay? And they don't understand that they're false. They're taking those forms in order to deceive mankind. But this is a serious thing because our sky, Thomas mentioned it already in the chat, in May of last year, so a little more than a year and a half ago, I think, something like that, they started launching Starlink satellites. Now they have almost 800 of them up in the sky. And I've watched them, and you can film them on time lapses. Just like when we watched that Star Trails, I recorded that before Starlink. Okay, let's look at what Starlink is doing to the sky and what God's ordained courses for these angels are. And it's actually how we tell time. We wouldn't know what a year was if the stars weren't there. We wouldn't understand what a year was if the sun, moon, and stars weren't there. God created the sun, moon, and stars for signs, seasons, days, and years. So there's a schedule to the sky. So check this video out, and thank you guys so much for hanging out. And I hope I hope you guys are learning just like I am. I mean, I'm learning every time I look at this stuff. I'm just learning more. That's the Holy Spirit does it. So let's watch this. I was thinking about time, and it's 2020, 2020. What makes it be 2020? That means there's been 2020 years since we started counting. How do we know what a year is? Well, that's 365 days, right? Well, how do we know to count that many days? How do we know how a year is a year? We could maybe say, well, because we have all the seasons. Yeah, and why do we have all the seasons? What determines what amount of time goes by in a day? What determines what amount of time goes by in a year? Well, here's what I think. There's only one way that we can determine when a year goes by. Basically one way. And that is by looking up at the sky clock that exists. Every year, the stars, like for instance today, if we took a still shot of the sky from my house, in 1 year's time, the stars would all be in the exact same position that they're in today. But every day in between, those stars would all be in different positions than they are specifically today, and a year from today, and a year from that day, and a year from that day. Because the stars have a cycle that they go through. They're turning, but at the same time that they're turning, they're changing their orientation slightly each day. We end up with the stars back in the same position again. This is one reason why the idea that the heliocentric model gives us of the North Star being previously a different star and not Polaris is a ridiculous falsehood, because that's not how the sky works. But just think about that. How do we determine a year? We do it with the stars in the sky. And that is actually stated in the creation story in Genesis. God said he created the sun, moon, and stars for signs, seasons, and days and years. And that's what we witness here on the earth. So that is the truth. So what we've been watching here on the screen is time-lapse photography of the stars. Now what happens when the star trails, or this time-lapse photography, what happens when it starts looking like this? And if that continues, how are we going to determine what a year is? I mean, I think we could still tell. But doesn't it seem like something's kind of getting in the way there? This started to happen to time-lapse photography in May of 2019. So just over a year ago, year and a half ago or so. And every month or so, they've been launching another 60 of these satellites. These are Starlink satellites that SpaceX is putting up in there, in that darkness. People call it space. But they're putting it up there, and I'm just making a clear note to everyone that God ordained laws for all the luminaries. Every star in the sky has an ordained course that God commanded them to go on. And we already know that 7 of those stars, which we call planets, disobeyed God's ordained courses for them. And so he bound them in darkness until judgment. But besides those 7, all the other stars circle Polaris every 24 hours. And that's just what the sky has always been. And so there's been a change made in the last year and a half. A big change. So this video is just a watchman's call out to those who are paying attention. Daniel 7 verse 25 says, "And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time." I think we're there, guys. There is a man in the world today trying to change times and laws, because that is what the sun, moon, and stars are. Is they are for signs, seasons, days, and years. Alright guys, thanks, I'm out. Thank you all for hanging out, and yeah, spread the word. I like what Jesus Freak Computer Geek said. He said, I have to find it here. Just this piece alone should be cut out and sent to tons of pastors. Share it with pastors, guys. Share it with your family, share it with your friends. Maybe not my video, I mean, I'd love it if you do, but share the information about the four winds, and, you know, refer back to the video for the verses. Enoch chapter 18, chapter 56, 57, 60. If you want if you want to go deeper and find out what's going to happen because of all this quaking in heaven, and from these angels going ascending and descending, chapter 67 in the book of Enoch, read the last verse and you'll learn what the lake of fire is. Where's the lake of fire, and how does it start? It's explained in Enoch 67. And the space station has a lot to do with it, okay? That's about all I got to say about that. So, yeah, thank you guys. I love you all, and I know that we're close to a big bang happening in the sky and being consumed with darkness down here. And I sit in traffic and I watch the people around me and I go, you know, if I... It says research flat earth on my truck, but I can't yell at everybody out the window. You know, I feel like being the guy with the, you know, the sign that you kind of wear over your shoulders that says the end is near. Yeah, that's me. The end is near. Repent. Okay? I don't know what else to say. I mean, Thomas Morgan was talking about this. If you guys aren't friends with Thomas Morgan on Facebook, go friend him if you can. He's got he just says some very insightful things. He's a truck driver, and he's got a lot of time to make live videos and to listen to sermons and to listen to things. And I'll tell you what, Thomas is I've put his videos on my channel very often. Lots of his videos are on my channel, and I think I might put his live from yesterday morning, I think it was. It's good info. It's just, there's clarity here, you guys, and it's clarity that I didn't understand existed, but I'm learning it. So, and I know a lot of people in here can see these things that I'm learning and are learning them right at the same time I am, and it's kind of mind-blowing. But thank you guys all for coming and for being here. Share it, and if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. And I will, maybe even the next time I go live, I might have Jesus Freak Computer Geek with me. Maybe we'll see. We'll have to email each other back and forth, or I'll give you a text or something, or a call or whatever, and we'll figure it out, because definitely an interesting perspective with the career and the history that David has with NASA, and just the way of thinking is, I would call it like a technical knowledge of some of these things that we're talking about. Some of these things, like when we're watching that video of the ripples happening in the sky, things like that. I'm sure he knows a lot about that we would like to hear him talk about. So that would be awesome. All right, guys, thank you. And I'm hitting this end stream button. God bless all of you, and seek Jesus, because it's that time. He's going to be returning in like manner as those men in Galilee watched him go up into heaven. All right. Thanks, guys.